Welcome to the Orange Hammer Podcast. My name is Corbett Storick. I've been a licensed general contractor for 8+ years, specializing in new construction, renovation, furniture building. I'm the son of an architect and an interior designer, and I've been surrounded in this industry since birth, watching all aspects from concept, design, build, punch list, and of course, all the problems that come up in between. In my time in Durham, North Carolina, I've noticed a significant gap in knowledge between homeowners who need work and the people who do the work. On this podcast, I hope to break down the process of homeownership from the perspective of both the homeowner and the contractor in an effort to help raise the knowledge of homeowners about their homes and the construction/renovation process. I hope you enjoy. If you're enjoying the Orange Hammer Podcast, or if you have a topic that you want covered, or have recently done a project, please contact the Orange Hammer Podcast. The Orange Hammer Podcast is on Instagram and Facebook. Please like and subscribe, share on whatever platform you're enjoying your podcast on. Also, check out our YouTube channel, The Orange Hammer. The Orange Hammer Podcast is proud to be brought to you by CRS Contracting LLC for all your construction and handyman needs, new buildings to renovations, furniture building, EV charger install, or even a TV mounted. You can call me, Corbett Storick. It'd be my pleasure to help you. You can find me on Instagram at CRS Contracting. WSDG, the Walter Storick Design Group, specialists in architectural and acoustical consulting. Check out WSDG.com. And Taylor Bragg, for all your artistic needs in all mediums. You can find her on Instagram at brag_about_art. That's brag, BRGG, with 2 G's. She's the fantastic artist behind the Orange Hammer logo, and she did my fantastic table painting of my podcasting table. The Orange Hammer Podcast is proud to be brought to you by Stacy Sloan with Keller Williams Elite Realty, proudly serving the Durham and Triangle area for 25 years. Call Stacy at 919-972-1180. The Orange Hammer Podcast is proud to be brought to you by Rachel Z with Rachel Z Real Estate Team Realty. From the Triangle to the Triad, call Rachel Z at 919-323-6068. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Orange Hammer Podcast. Today, my guest is Trish Bass. Trish, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I see you brought your emotional support animal with you.
I did.
Yeah, I've got mine. The only difference is the amount of legs, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm a four-legged emotional support animal. You brought your 2-legged. That's okay. So I guess let's just jump right in to the world of what do we call it? Google registering or Google
Business Profile.
Google Business Profile. Okay.
Yep.
So what exactly? I mean, obviously, anybody who either runs a small business or, I don't know, is a human connected to the internet probably knows what Google is and therefore knows what a Google business page looks like. And that's your world.
That is my world.
Okay.
Yes. Not everybody knows what a Google business page is. In fact, a lot of business owners don't know what they are, which is kind of sad. But yeah, anytime you Google a business, they should have a good business profile that gives their hours, tells about their business, connects to their website, pretty much everything that everybody needs to know about their business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember setting mine up, I don't know, a couple of years ago. It's not terribly complicated. There's, the verification process gets like a little strange when you have to send like funny pictures of like the front of your establishment, right, and like maybe a sign and then like, yeah, or whatever. But it makes sense when you just like boil it down to what they're trying to make, because it's all about quote unquote verification.
Yes.
So, getting past that initial process and the little bit of goofiness, it's a one-time thing and then it's good to go.
Well, verification is a one-time thing.
Yeah, verification is a
absolutely.
one-time thing.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, that's well said. Yeah. So where do like you take over in this process?
Well, Google's basically set up profiles for small business. About 12 years ago, the internet changed. That's when the maps started to show up, and people started to focus more on being found locally. And that's what Google really, caught wind of consumer behavior, because that's what they're all about. That's why it changes all the time, because we change all the time. So about 12 years ago, Google started to basically redefine searches, and they broke it into organic website searches, which bring up, keywords at the bottom of a Google page. But they also started with a map, and that showed, who's in your backyard. That's what people are looking for. And that really honestly changed everything on Google as far as SEO strategies, where do you want to show up? Then reviews came into play, because once you show up, well, you need to look the best and be chosen. So it all starts to matter. Now, the cool thing about Google is that this profile that they created for small business is a free profile. So, that's kind of a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you take advantage of that? And
Absolutely.
but here's where people kind of fall off the wagon there. Once you do get it set up and you get it verified and you've got your business hours and you've posted a few pictures and you've got your website connected, that's where most business owners fall off and don't continue to stay active on the platform. And Google's very selfish, just like Facebook or any other platform. They want you to be on their platform. So the more that you're on it, the more that you're active, the more you're consistently touching that platform and you're doing something with it, whether that's responding to reviews, posting new pictures, doing weekly updates, whatever you're doing, Google starts to know and trust your business, and you start to show up more at the top of that map. And that's where about 90% of consumers end up when they do searches that are local searches.
Oh, yeah. No one's going past page 1.
No.
No. Oh, that's time for that.
No.
You'd be amazed how many people don't even have time to just Google search something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's hysterical.
Yeah.
So so backing up before 12 years ago, what were you doing?
12 years ago, I had a nanny agency.
Okay. So
Yep.
when did you jump into Google business listing world as a profession?
Great question. So I got really tired of the nanny industry because I'd done it so long. I started in 96 and was just ready for a change. And basically got my insurance license and became an insurance broker. Did that for about 8 years and decided that that was going to basically make me bankrupt. Anybody that's sold insurance or been an insurance broker will understand that.
Yeah, plus you're just destroying your soul one transition at a time. Yeah.
A lot of chargebacks when it comes to that industry. But anyway, so I wanted to get my nanny agency back up and running, and everything had changed digitally.
Geography, are we still here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you from here?
Yes, actually I grew up in Durham.
Cool.
So in doing that, I was like, obviously, I'm not going to go back to school, so I've got to figure this Google thing out and the internet and how it all works, and started working with a national marketing agency and worked with them for about 2 years. They had a very, very close, unique relationship with Google, learned a ton, and started helping people during the pandemic for free. So some of my customers, during COVID, had to shut down, or they had to, downsize, or their budgets changed. So I was like, we've done so much. Let me just help you on the side for free with your Google business profile. At that point, it was called Google My Business. And I quickly saw that the more we had our hands on that profile, we were getting better results than what we were doing when they were paying me with the larger marketing firm, because it was a bit of a different strategy. The only thing we did was reviews and Google marketing as far as the Google business profile. So people started saying, hey, Trish helps me. She does a good job. And then people were like, why don't you charge for that? And it just really started to blossom. And the results have been pretty incredible. And when you really immerse yourself in something like that you are very laser focused and targeted so that you keep up with just that piece of the marketing. You're not doing Facebook, you're not doing websites, you're not doing LinkedIn, you're not doing Google ads, you're not doing all of that, and you are just laser focused on that one niche basically, then you quickly find out in the marketing world nobody else does that.
Yeah. I noticed. Yeah. I mean, that feels about right to me. I mean, you can hire so many different numbers of marketing people, but it's, at least for me, it seems to be impossible to find like the one stop shop. Like, it's like you could hire, oh yeah, I'll build your website for $500, or I'll post your stuff on Facebook and Instagram, or whatever, or like I'll upgrade your website or
Right.
update your website or whatever. um or like I'll do the videos for your YouTube page. But it's very hard to find, like, I will just be your marketing person
Yeah.
and make sure that, like you said, you have to keep up on the platforms, not the profiles, or the profiles on the platforms, whatever. So like for me, I've checked all the boxes that like you would probably tell a new client to check in terms of like verifying a Google and doing all of that stuff. But I absolutely have not kept up like you would probably be directing somebody,
Sure.
because I've put way more energy into Instagram and Facebook. And,
Sure.
whether that's right or wrong, we could dive into that conversation if we want, but that's just kind of like where I've seen business come from and where I've decided to put more energy into it.
Sure.
That does not mean that if I took a month and, as you perfectly put, went laser focused on Google, that all of a sudden more work wouldn't come from Google. I mean, I'm sure if I took a month and was laser focused and aggressive on, let's pull one out of the sky, the Nextdoor app,
Right.
I'm sure I could drum up some business,
Yep.
So I'm not sure if one is better than the other. I think there's probably preferred ones depending on your industry. Like my friend who's a tattoo artist, she's only on Instagram and she can't tattoo fast enough to keep up with the work.
Sure.
But that's that industry. That's different,
It does.
and
Yes.
maybe she would have gotten that same result if she had done aggressive on Google, but she went aggressive on, we got the studio dog Willie Bear just licking everything.
okay.
All right, buddy, get out of here.
Yeah, and that is a really good point. Here's the difference in Google and the other platforms. And I would highly recommend, and I say this all the time, people are like, what platform should I be on?
All of them.
Well, not necessarily, because, again, you can do a lot of things halfway, or you can do a couple of things really well. So,
don't you think, though, that at a certain point it's the same thing and you just have to share it on all the platforms? Like,
Yeah.
if you're me, it's the same beautiful deck picture. I got to put it on Facebook. I got to put it on Instagram. I got to put it on a Google profile. I got to post it on Nextdoor. Who needs decks? I got to put it on YouTube with a video of the deck. Like, obviously, I'm thinking industry specific to my industry.
of course.
You're thinking broader because that's your head.
Yeah.
But like for me, it would be the same picture and possibly a
Sure.
different like text. But so what would be a good example of a different industry that should definitely just focus on, say one or the other?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me ask you a question. When you go on Google, are you there to look at social profiles? Are you there to chit chat with somebody, or are you there for an answer?
Sorry, maybe I didn't understand. Like when I'm Googling something?
When you look on Google for anything, are you there to be social, or are you there for an answer?
Oh, an answer. Yeah, Google's not social.
That's the difference. That's it. It's the fact about Google is nobody is on there killing time to be social. They don't, they're not looking at family photos. They are there because they want an answer.
Yeah, that's what the Instagram feed is for. They just scroll mindlessly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I want a deck and I want somebody that's close to me because I want to do business locally, I'm going to do deck builders near me. Okay, near me searches have increased by over 500% in the last couple of years. So that's the difference in Google and social. They all have their place. And
is that where the SEOs come in?
Yes.
Okay, so elaborate on those, because I'm one of those people who like kind of knows the term and could give you like the back of a cereal box definition, but I don't know it like
That's
somebody
okay.
like you knows it. So like for the layman, it's basically like keywords for your searches, and that's about where my knowledge stops.
And that's
Yeah.
a pretty good start. There's two different kind of SEOs. That's where a lot of marketing companies really confuse people.
Okay.
Because there's local SEO, which is you start with the business address. It's geographically set up that way.
Hence the maps.
Yes.
Right.
Hence
Yeah,
the
yeah,
maps.
totally.
That's it.
Yeah.
Or a search area, if it's a service area business, which is what you probably are. Nobody's coming to your house to get a deck. You're going to their
Of course.
house.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the difference. Okay, a pharmacy near me, I need to walk in and do business with this company.
Yeah.
Okay,
if you get a pharmacy 12 hours away on Google, not helpful.
That's
yeah.
it. And that's the difference. Google local search is set up on key search terms like pharmacy near me or deck builders near me, whereas organic website SEO that comes up at the bottom under the map, that is keywords, and that is pharmacy, deck builder. So there's a different algorithm for each one of those. And if you're looking to do business locally, then you are looking for basically a business that's going to show up on the map.
Yeah, I mean, we've said deck builder a few times, so it might as well, like, John and Jane Doe, when they have a beautiful house and they're thinking about a deck, most of the time they're going to ask for a word of mouth. They're going to, neighbor has a great deck. My parents got a great deck. My brother built a great deck. Hey, who'd you use? Whatever. Okay. Then after that, which we're not in control of that in any regard.
Sure.
Then after that, they're probably going to do exactly what you said, which is go to Google and just type either deck builder near me, or if we're in Durham in this particular case, deck builder Durham NC, and see who shows up.
And to your point, I'm glad you actually brought this up. Because if you are referred by a family member, they're like, hey, Corbett built my deck. He was great. What's the name of his business? Oh, well, they're going to go back and Google your business most of the time.
Yeah, and they want to see a good page, a good website. They want to see an Instagram link. They want to see reviews.
Yes.
Like that kind of goes back to your point where, like, it might not be the ideal choice for you to laser focus on Instagram, but you can't not have it. Like, you got to have all of them. They all contact each other at some point. If you're me, I have a link tree, so it just makes it even easier. On the back of my business card, have a little QR code. I'm like, you scan that, you get a link tree, and there's like video testimonials, links to all the socials, links to a new website, links to this podcast. Like, it's just all in one spot. And I'm just trying to make it as easy as possible for the customers. And it's like, got my orange, and just trying to make all the simpler. And even when I go to say like if I go to a networking event and I get somebody's business card, the next day I'll send them a text that's like, hey, it's Corbett. It was great to meet you. If you want to get a coffee, let me know. I'd love to talk about fill in the blank of whatever their business was. And then right away I send them a link to the link tree. Yep. And when you get it in a text message, it looks pretty and it has my logo. And when you click it, there's contact save at the top. And it just, again, anything you can do to make it easier for somebody to save you and connect with you and keep you on the brain and have a cool logo. And, it all talks to each other.
And to your point about it being easy, when I'm talking to business owners, and business owners can manage their own Google profile. I'm very transparent about that. I even teach people how to do it. People hire me because they don't want to do it. They know it's going to be done. They know it's going to be consistently done the right way. But you can do it yourself. But to your point about making it easy, I tell folks whenever you're doing anything in marketing, you have to almost think that you are dealing with a 5-year-old, not intellectually, but their attention span, because that's how we all are now. We all have the attention span when we get online of a 5-year-old. I mean, if it doesn't catch you or you don't find exactly what you want, somebody else is there and they're going to be looking at somebody else's stuff. So it has to be simple.
Couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. When I was this won't come out for a couple of weeks, but designed a new website, and like, yeah, does the wordage have to be good? Of course the answer is yes. But between you, me, the listeners, and what about Bob, it's not important at all.
Yeah.
It has to grab. The logo's got to grab, the colors have to grab, the pictures have to grab, the layout has to grab. Very few people are even reading. A lot of people are like, oh, There's
skim.
a picture of him. That's who I wanted to see. I'm looking at the right person. Blah, 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 blah. Durham. Okay, I'm in the right place. Oh, 4 great deck pictures. Cool. How do I get in contact?
Absolutely.
Nobody's actually reading all of the stuff that we typed.
Yes.
Even though it had to be bomb-proof.
And I would encourage anybody that has a website to look at their homes page and make sure it doesn't have too much text. I mean, you just need a little bit, not only for the consumer. Again, Google reflects consumer behavior, which is important to know. Google scans that home page when somebody is looking for deck builder in Durham, deck builder near me, because they're looking for those key search terms and they're looking at your location. They're looking to see if what's on that home page matches what that consumer typed in and is looking for.
And is that an aspect you will also help with a business owner that hires you, or do you are hands off once we leave Google?
I can help them as far as setting up a landing page, but I don't. You know, if I have one of my customers that says, Trish, we need a website, I'm not going to go pay somebody to do it. What can you help us with? My philosophy is to leave them better off than when I found them if we don't work together anymore. So I know a lot of people are going to beat me up about this. You're probably going to get feedback, but I send them to GoDaddy or we set it up on GoDaddy. So if we part ways, they can continue to have a website and not be starting over. Because a lot of people...
I don't think anybody's going to give you shit for GoDaddy.
Well, a lot of people do. SEO, web designers always do because they charge...
That's just because they lost a client, not because the product is superior or inferior.
Right.
Yeah.
It's, you don't, if you're a small local business, you don't need to spend $3,000 on a website with a ton of SEO because they're going to find you on Google Maps anyway.
I had somebody, we actually hit it off like personality wise, and we ended up doing a podcast, but I got, Brittany Murphy, like she reached out to me as a salesperson. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't really know, like, if I need this, blah, blah, blah. And then, so we ended up just doing a podcast. And then after the podcast, I was like, you know what? Hearing you talk about what you do, it's worth the free 30-minute, Zoom. Let's see what's up. She wanted like $17,000 because that's what they do. Like, they only make websites only for tradesmen. That's all they do. And they were like, we'll create 4 pages, SEOs, link to Google, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I was like, I don't know what planet you're on. Maybe you're worth that money. Maybe people be paying it. Maybe that's how you calculate your overhead and divide it by how many clients you think you're going to get. But you're out of this world if you think I'm going to give you $17,000 to write a website. Like, sorry. I don't know what industry leading standard you think you have, but absolutely insane. I was like, there's just no way.
The funny thing is, if it is a local business, I have seen local businesses show up in the top 3 on the maps and not even have a website. And
that just is your skill set with Google.
That is local SEO, which is completely different strategy than a website strategy, which is organic. Again, you've got that search page. At the top, you got the paid ads. In some industries that works. In some industries, it's a complete waste of money. Google appreciates that. The middle of the page is the map. Local SEO strategy, completely different than the bottom of the page, which is organic website SEO. And honestly, if a consumer doesn't click on a paid ad, 90% of them end up on the map. If they don't, then 10% or less end up at the bottom. So if you're catching that organic website traffic, you're still only getting 10% or less of the search.
Yeah, I feel you on that map a lot. Yeah, because, I mean, there have definitely been times when I knew 10 out of 10 of the people who showed up on Google all had the same product at the same price.
Yep.
So I literally just clicked the map button and I was like, who is the closest drive? Or who's closest to the other thing I need to do that day.
Yep.
Be like, okay, I guess I'm going there, not out of any other loyalty other than the map made it work out for me that day.
Yep.
Because I needed this printer ink or whatever. I'll just fill in the blank, you know.
And back to making it easy, Google makes it easy to click, boop, goes right to your GPS. Or click, boop, calls for you.
Yeah.
It's
or
all
Google
about,
Map app. We all have Google Maps on our
Yes.
iPhone. Like even Apple was like, don't use our maps, use Google Maps. Like, hell, my Tesla's powered by Google Maps.
Yeah.
It says in the bottom corner, it says Google Maps. I'm like, you guys couldn't even come up with your own thing. But I guess Google's doing it right, so just use their interface.
90% of the search market. So they're doing something right.
So can we break down each of those, or is that now like too much the info that people need to hire you for?
What do you mean?
Like
Say
the
that
three
again.
the three different levels of the SEO, or is that too much into like the information that is the behind the curtain?
Yeah, so no, absolutely not. Everything I do is completely transparent. I don't do Google Ads because I feel like that's a whole different skill set. And I will advise somebody whether or not it works in their industry. You know, plumbers, dentist,
Dentist, really? Okay.
HVAC.
These are ad plus, you're saying?
These are good ad candidates.
Okay.
And why? Well, I get home, my hot water heater, there's water going everywhere. And if I were a single lady and didn't have a plumber, I'm getting on Google, top of the page, the first company that's close to me that has some reviews and says 24/7 emergency service. How fast can you get here? Turn this water off. So in those types of industries, it does work, okay? But if you're not in that type of industry, then your best bet, if you're a local business, is going to be the maps. And that's what I do. And I teach people how to do it. So, you know, the weekly updates that I do, optimizing the listing, adding photos, current, fresh, consistent photos, because we all love photos. And a lot of times that's how people get found with their photos, even, you know, if they're just doing a general search on there.
Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah, reviews are huge, okay? Why? Because people trust Google reviews. And when somebody reviews your business, now they're also telling Google that you are a good business and that, you know, people should do business with you.
Yeah.
So not
also,
only,
nobody does it just because. Like
No.
everybody does a review because you had to be worthy of the review, or
Yes.
you had to go back and reach out and be like, hey, you mentioned you were satisfied with the service. Would you mind throwing up a review on Facebook or Google? And
I'm glad you said Facebook reviews, because a lot of people ask me what's the difference, and there's a huge difference, okay? Not that Facebook isn't important to have reviews there, but anytime a consumer reviews you on Google, number one, they're the most trusted reviews because you have to have a legitimate Gmail account. You have to get verified through Google basically to set that account up. So they're trusted, okay? Secondly, it helps your local SEO. When somebody says, hey, I worked with Corbett and I talked to a lot of deck builders in Durham and he was the outstanding one because blah, blah, blah. All of that is going into Google's file for you. And now that's helping you get found next time. That does not happen with Facebook reviews. They stay on Facebook. They do not help you anywhere else. Facebook is a social platform. Google is a platform that every business, it's facts. They have to have it.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that maybe I need to remove some of the efforts that are going on to Facebook and Instagram, because it doesn't seem to be, it seems to be that like, so I have a social media person, right? So like all my pictures go to him and then he he superimposes cool stuff and whatever. And I love what he's doing, but I am starting to notice that I'm just getting like a lot of love and likes from everybody who already knows me. Like all these people already would probably hire me. They're all like local friend or like, friends from where I live in New York or whatever. And it's like, yo, Jay, don't ever stop liking my pictures. I love you. You're my boy. But he who rents an apartment in Poughkeepsie, New York is not my ideal client, is drumming up zero business.
Right.
And, I don't necessarily want to like stop that social media stuff, but it's probably after this conversation, I'm starting to realize that it's awesome, but it's probably not actually bringing in any new work.
Everybody likes to be liked.
Tilt that back up just a little bit.
And that's what social is about.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It has its place.
But it's not paying the bills.
But if you wake up on Saturday and like, this deck is a disaster, I've got to get something done, then you're going to Google to find somebody that does that in your area that other people have worked with and can vouch for with reviews. because there's so many scams out there. Everybody wants to know, how was your experience with this person?
This next comment is not a like, you're wrong, this is right. I just want your opinion on, like, I see a lot lately, last 6 months especially, is like less social and more let's get something done groups are appearing on Facebook. And I'm starting to see a lot of people posting in said group looking for something that 7 months ago they would have just gone right to Google. So they'll like go into the, homeowners in Raleigh / Durham Facebook group, and they'll type in like, hey, does anybody know a good tile expert, or does somebody have a good plumber? Instead of like that same typing that they put on Facebook.
Absolutely.
They literally could have typed less words and gotten a result instantly, instead of waiting for 75 people
to give 75 different answers,
to comment and post.
And that's what's going to happen.
And then you, at 5 o'clock at the end of the workday, you got to sort through 70 posts.
Yep.
And you don't know 65 of the people who posted. And I've been guilty of it.
Sure.
And
People
usually it's never helped.
It's like a social thing that people do. It's like, oh, well, we're going to buy a new house and we want to spend this much money. Who do you know that's a realtor? And you ask 100 people, you get a different, 100 different questions. Let me ask you a question. What is the average cost of a deck that you build?
Oh, man.
Just ballpark it.
20 grand.
All right. So if I'm going to go on Facebook and ask my community, I want a deck, who do you recommend? And they say, well, I recommend this person. He built our deck for $20,000. Okay. Do you think that I'm going to pick up the phone and call you immediately because they said somebody on Facebook that I don't know?
No.
Okay. What am I going to do?
You're assuming you even like cared enough to read that comment. You might then click on my page or Google me immediately to see if it's I'm a real person.
90% are going to leave Facebook.
I could be a Russian bot for all you know.
Exactly. And they're going to go on Google to see what other people are saying. Or maybe even the Better Business Bureau. Or they're going to Google you and see before they not only spend the money, but, we haven't even gotten to that point yet, before they even trust you to come out to their home.
I hope they're looking up my license number, but nobody's doing it. I'm shocked. Yeah. I get calls all the time from, like, I'll be the second contractor after the first contractor ran off with $30,000.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, first of all, here's my lawyer's number, because what? You just have an extra $30,000 you don't care losing? Like, I don't. So that must be nice. And then 2, I'm like, see this business card I'm handing you that has a really clear license number on the bottom corner? Why don't you go look that up?
Yeah.
And see I have 0 open cases and never had a complaint and have an active license and have an active insurance. It's right there on, guess what? Google.
I was going to say, sadly enough, that's probably about as much as anybody does, but
no, nobody does that.
Yeah.
Nobody does that.
So
I don't know how, like, you're doing Google business listing stuff, so I don't know how often you're like hiring a contractor to build something at your home, but I'm telling you, nobody is looking up my license number 2 clicks from Google to get to the North Carolina Licensing Board website. No one's doing it.
Yeah.
No one's doing it. And to me, I'm like borderline upset. I'm like, do you know how hard I had to work to get that license? You better be checking that I got that license. Like,
sure.
I had one client, we didn't end up working with him, or we didn't end up working together because he found out after I got involved that his houses were in a floodplain. And I was like, okay, well, now we got to build the whole floor system out of pressure treated because that's the code. And he was like, I'm just selling these 3 houses. I was like, probably a good move. But anyway, he had the contractor show him a fake license number and a fake permit. I'd never heard of it. Literally, like, he photoshopped or Google, I don't know what he did, but he made a fake permit with a fake license number. That's how aggressive the con was.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that.
And it was like $40K this dude ran off with. Because it was 3 houses next to each other. And he was going to, like, make 2 of them single family homes and then make one of them a split family where he could rent one side and live in the other side. And he was going to landlord, you know, the other half and the other 2 houses. And he was like an out-of-state investor. And so he just like hired some random dude. I don't know how he found him. I didn't ask. And then he finally brought me on, and I was like, I can't really speak to what happened before I got here, but I'm looking at your electric and it's not up to code. And I'm looking at the fact that half of this wall has sheetrock, and you're not supposed to sheetrock without insulation. And you're not supposed to insulate until the electric's done. And like half that wall is insulated. I was like, this dude had no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And I just look at the homeowner and I'm like, I hate to be the one that tells you this, but we got to gut all this back. Like none of this is useful except for that untouched stack of sheetrock. I was like, that was it. And then once again, you know, as I said, we found out it was a floodplain, and he was like, I'm done with this. And I think he was just heartbroken or whatever, that, you know, just defeated.
Yeah.
And I understand it, but look up a license number. It's not that hard. It's on Google.
Yeah.
I worked hard for that license number, you know?
Yeah.
I want people to look it up.
Sure.
Yeah, it baffles me. But, you know, it probably baffles people like you and I, just because we are constantly in this realm of
Sure.
like update and check and confirm. And if you can't see him there, that's a red flag. You should see him everywhere. Like, don't hire that person with no
Right.
reviews or what, you know, this, that, and the third. And it's just
Sure.
like, it's ingrained in you and I. But like you said, the average homeowner who just comes home to a leaking water heater,
Yeah.
they could give 2 shits. They're worried about their floors.
Right.
And respectfully, they should be worried about their floors, but
Yeah.
also respectfully, if you own a home,
Yeah.
you should have 2 contacts for every trade in a binder somewhere or in
Yeah.
your phone.
Yeah, but that's not the real world. And again, that's where hiring somebody that's in that world and understands consumer behavior helps you to know, how are people going to look for this kind of business. You know, a plumber,
Yeah.
got a hot water heater going everywhere. Ads are going to be great for this industry.
Right.
You know, realtors, they're relationship driven. You know, that's a relationship industry. So they're not necessarily going to do well with a big paid ad campaign unless
Right.
it's like a local service ad and they're Google guaranteed. You know, it has to be done the right way. There are better ways.
What about contractors? Where do we fit in?
Honestly, you know, that's kind of a relationship business too, and I would not recommend doing ads.
Yeah.
You know, having a good, strong Google page that when somebody Googles your business name and you've got a good amount of reviews, you've got pictures, it shows that you're active and you're legit, has all of your social profiles connected, then somebody's going to look at your business and say, okay, this guy looks legit.
So I've got all of that. I just need to interact more with the reviews, and I need to just keep updating the pictures, because all those pictures I'm putting on Facebook and Instagram, they need to go on Google as
They
well.
do. You should have 100 or more photos.
Oh, shit.
And
Okay,
you should
I'm
respond
behind.
to every single review that comes in, and here's why. If you get 100 good reviews, you haven't responded to any of them, then you get a bad one, and you only respond to that bad one. Somebody looks at your Google page, they're like, does this guy really care what his customers say, or is he just trying to save face? Because he only responded to the bad reviews.
So even the good one, just like, hey, we're happy to help you. So
Yes,
glad, like just simple, just
absolutely.
like short and sweet like that. It doesn't have to be like we solved it, you know, because a lot of times I see companies respond to the negative review, but even though I'm not the person who left the review, I'm like, I feel like happy at that response. Like, for example, someone's like,
Exactly.
oh, we had a really shitty meal, blah, 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 at this Italian restaurant. And then the restaurant writes back, that's unheard of, very much unlike us. Please come back for a free dessert on us. Like, we're so sorry. And I'm like,
Exactly.
oh, like that's the response to the negative review, where I'm like, I actually dig that response.
And that's the other thing. It gives the business owner the opportunity to tell their side of the story. And if you've got 100 reviews, one of them's bad, but you've responded to all of them, at that point, the consumer's just more or less curious. How does this person handle it? You know, how are they going to handle me if I have a bad experience? So
Yeah.
It's really important. Plus, it gives your side of the story. You know, thanks, John. We appreciate you sharing feedback. We care what everybody thinks, good, bad, or indifferent. We had an off night. It happens. You know, we're going to use this to up our game. Come back in. We'd love to give you free dessert. Now, everybody that just read that is like, wow, you know, he handled that really
care.
well. Yeah,
They care. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, like you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm building the same house to the same code with the same 2x4s, as every other honest contractor. So what's the difference? It's the relationship. It's the personality. I'm basically just a salesman for myself,
right?
Because assuming we're on the same honest playing field, we're doing the same stuff.
Yeah. And you can't, everybody knows that businesses aren't perfect. Google knows that. They don't want you to have a perfect 5-star. They want you to be between 4.6 and 4.8. And if you read, somebody's got, 100 perfect reviews and they're all 5s, you don't trust that as a consumer. It's like, this doesn't sound legit. You got to have a bad, you got to have a bad day or you can't please everybody, period. That's just, you could build the same house for 2 different people and it be exactly the same. And this is what they both said they want, but 50% of them are going to still, well, I should have done this a little different, or I'd feel better if you'd have done it this way. You cannot please everybody. And, we're just not perfect. So that should be reflected in your reviews and how you handle it.
So is there any client that you're not interested in working with, or is just any small business that cares about getting more clients via Google, you'll work with them?
Well, to qualify for a Google business listing, you have to do business locally. If you are strictly online, you do not qualify for a Google business profile.
Okay.
Okay.
So assuming they qualify for a business, assuming they're a local business that qualifies for a profile, is that the criteria? Is that like the minimum criteria for you to want to work with them?
The other piece of it is, if I don't know your industry well and you're not going to help me understand, who is your target audience? What do you want to be found for? Give me some insight on exactly what you do. Like an auto mechanic. I don't know anything about working on cars, but I would work with an auto mechanic if he would give me some guidance on, we really like to do oil changes because it cost us, $10 or whatever it cost them. I have no idea. Sorry, auto mechanics. But, they're in and out and it's $50. So that's straight profit. We can do that in 15 minutes. That's what I want to be found for. Great. We can do that. But for somebody to hire me if I don't know their industry and them not give me some guidance so I can make them successful on Google, then it's really difficult to work with those customers.
And so how do you determine what to charge people?
I charge a flat rate per month.
Okay.
Yeah, it's $180 if I manage their Google listing. I don't do contracts. I don't do startup fees. Everything's transparent. Digitally, everything is tracked, so we know if we're doing the right thing.
So all that
simple.
So like hypothetically, somebody pays you $180 a month and they just have to email you pictures and you take over the rest?
I get access to their Google business listing, so I'm in there just like they are. So I'm in the back end. There's a few things we have to do to get set up, the dashboard, things like that. But yeah, it's pretty simple to get started. It literally, takes 15 minutes.
And so are you having, is there like a phase out where okay, you've hired me for 6 months, we were successful and we've got you, your SEOs are correct and whatever, and now okay, you don't need me anymore, just keep posting pictures?
Yes or no? Yes and no.
Okay.
It's just like social. If you don't continue to do what you're doing, you fall back on the list. It's the same thing with Google. All of these profiles, again, are very selfish. They want you on their profile. They're not going to reward you. It's not a one and done. So you've got to keep active on there. You've got to keep posting weekly. You've got to keep adding pictures. You've got to respond to reviews. You got to keep getting reviews. As things change, like Google now has a Q&A section. So for the business, you need to have questions answered. They're always changing something. So whether I continue to work the strategy or they take over and do it the right way on their own, it is an ongoing strategy. But yes, in 6 months, we could have it to where we're getting results, and they could say, okay, I'm good now, Trish. I see what I need to do, and I'm going to do it.
Okay. So you could be either, the one or the teacher.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm both. I work with some nonprofits. I get their business profile set up for them, And then I teach them how to do that because most nonprofits don't have money to pay people to do that.
And is that the same for-profit companies? Is that the same $180 a month, whether you want to be hands-off or learn how to do it from you?
If I, I'll teach them quite a bit for free. Again, people hire me because they don't want to do it. It's not because they can't do it.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So if somebody needed to hire you, what's the easiest way to get in touch?
I have a website. It's jumpstartmarketing.info.
You have 0 Google review. No, I'm just kidding. 0 stars on Google.
0
Not
stars.
taking her own advice. Yeah. No Facebook presence. No, sorry. Give it again. I'm just a jerk.
That's okay. It's jumpstartmarketing.info or findmybusinessstart.biz. Findmybusiness.biz.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that the easiest way? Is there a phone number or like an email you want to put out, or just the website's good?
Website's good, but the phone number is 919-840-6713. That's straight through to me. My email is trish.jumpstartmarketing@gmail.com.
There you go. We love Gmail. Okay. So other than the constant like upkeep, the necessity for pictures, the third thing I think that was really big was the interaction with the reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Is there obviously like people need to hire you to get all the gold, but is there one other big thing that we forgot to touch on in terms of like the main strategies of making that Google profile just shine among the others?
Believe it or not, that's pretty much it, because probably 60% of business owners set it up and forget about it.
That's me.
They don't.
Yep.
They don't consistently stay on the platform.
Yeah, I think I put 15 pictures up there, and then I haven't looked at it.
At least
since.
You have 15.
Yeah.
That's a start.
I mean, somebody told me to do it. I didn't do it. Yeah, it was the same person who revamped my social medias. So they pulled up all my different. They were like Facebook, Instagram, Google, and they were like, all your logos are different.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that sucks. He's like, we got to change this.
Yeah. The other thing that does happen is when you get into Google trouble, like you open up your page and it's been suspended, or they want you to re-verify with a video, or they take your post down, or, there's a lot of things that can go on. I can manage that for you because it can be time consuming.
Yeah.
I had a pharmacy in Manning, South Carolina. 3 locations for this pharmacy, 3 different locations, and did the same Google stuff for each one, okay? 2 out of 3 were fine. We opened up the Google listing one day, and one of them had been suspended. Not a legit business. Okay. This profile's been up for 3 years. There's 2 others just like it. We're doing the exact same thing. How can you tell me it's not legit? We had pictures of the signage out front. I mean, the whole 9. For 2 months, back and forth every single day with Google to get that reinstated. Now, a business owner doesn't have time to do that. But, it's a big, that's the one problem with Google is that it's so big. When you run into a problem, you can't just pick up the phone and talk to somebody.
Yeah, there's no one to call.
So, it's a process to go through.
Yeah. It's hard to argue with an AI. No, I'm just kidding.
There's that too.
Yeah. We all know who's running Google. It's a giant supercomputer in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, I appreciate the education. I definitely kind of thought it was like a just set it and forget it type of deal, but looks like I got to add more work to my schedule. Great. Just what I needed, more work.
If you need help, I know a girl.
Do you? Oh, okay. I'm going to have to Google her. Yeah. Sorry, I'm an idiot. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. And as usual, the Orange Hammer podcast is on all these wonderful aforementioned social media platforms. And we are on Google. We're going to add more pictures and reviews. Don't you worry about it. Corb@WSTG.com, 845-489-6057. If you want to come on the show, want me to talk about something, or need work in the Triangle, there are your contacts. And Trish, just thank you so much for coming by and sharing your wealth of knowledge.
Sure.
And hopefully some listeners will reach out, because it seems to be a little bit neglected because of at least in my age group especially, like we think if you're not on Instagram with a picture of you putting a screw into that new deck board, then like, did it even happen? But the reality is that the other people my age on Instagram don't have a house to hire me because they don't have any money. And people who have houses and money are Googling for the people to get them. So it does make some sense. It does make some sense. But you do have to you got to be at least like minusculely active on everything.
You do.
Yeah, because if I just delete my Facebook and open up and put all that energy to Google, that's not going to look good either.
No.
No.
Yeah, it's a bit overwhelming, but you have to prioritize 2 or 3 platforms.
2 or 3 platforms. Yep. Okay. Yep. And obviously Google being one of those 3, what are the other 2 that you would most likely recommend?
Depends on the business. Facebook, of course, is, everybody seems like is on Facebook now. LinkedIn, depending on your industry and what you do. I tell folks, we have a personal trainer in our networking group, and when people ask her, what's the best workout plan, and she goes, the one you're going to do.
It's true.
And that's kind of how it is on the platforms. But Google is different than social media because people are there for facts. So but choose a couple. Yeah. Google, because you're there for facts. We're going to end right there. Trish, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye, everybody.